This is Hannibal here from thehannibaltv.com, and I am with Azar here, the actor that plays none other than WWE Hall of Famer, the Iron Sheik in the Young Rock series about Dwayne Johnson's young life. How are you doing today, sir?
Yes, Baba. Iron Sheik, number one. Fantastic, Baba.
Well, you do a pretty good impression. I have not seen the show yet. I'll be honest with you. Could you tell us a little bit about the show?
Jabroni move.
Could you tell us a little bit about the concept? I've heard about it. I've listened to some reviews on it. It seems like wrestling fans like it for the most part so far.
Yeah, so it's The Rock is running for president in 2032. And he's getting interviewed by certain celebrities and news programs, and he's telling stories about his childhood. And there's 3 different timelines in season 1 where you have 10-year-old Dewey, you have the high school Dwayne, and then you have the college Dwayne. And in that 10-year-old timeline in Hawaii, he's with all the 80s wrestlers who are all like family to him, his mentors, his uncles. So it's Uncle Andre, it's Uncle Shiki baby. And so that storyline is where the wrestlers are most prevalent. And it's been a blast, man, doing all this.
Now, are you a real AAU champion like the Iron Sheik?
Hey, you champ one, number one. No, I was a gym rat and a theater geek in college, and I started bodybuilding and competing. And then about 10 years ago, I randomly ended up in an acting agent's office, and he was like, "Sign this." And they signed me the day they met me. And that was 10 years ago. I moved from Rhode Island to New Jersey to be closer to New York City to pursue the dream. And here we are 10 years later as Shiki Baby.
Has The Rock been on set for any of the productions that you've done so far related to this?
When we were filming in Australia. So we were there for 3-4 months. I was there for 2.5, 3, and then the other timelines would come in and out of the other actors from the other timelines. So we were there for a good amount of time. But The Rock was filming a Netflix movie in Atlanta the entire time still. So our interactions with DJ were all through Zoom, where we would do our table reads for the script. And he would contact all the actors separately and tell them, what they personally meant, what that character, what that person was personally meant to him, so that we would develop the relationship with him as far as when we're acting and with his childhood self. So it was pretty cool. At the end of one of the table reads, he got kind of emotional, and he was getting teary-eyed, and I was like, "Oh, it's okay, Baba. Uncle Shiki loves you. We all love you." And he goes, "Oh, Shiki, baby." So that was a good moment.
How was the Sheik important to The Rock's life? Because those are 2 characters you don't necessarily think that the Sheik played a role.
The Sheik really was like an uncle to him when he was growing up. The Sheik's wife, Carol, would babysit him. And Afa and Sika, The Rock's uncles, and Carol were like 3 peas in a pod. They were their own clique. The Sheik was a mentor and like an uncle figure to The Rock through his whole childhood. And then when he was in professional, he would also help him there. So, and plus you got the jabroni connection. The Rock brought jabroni to the mainstream, but it was the Sheik's word. He was the OG using jabroni move.
There's a fan on here that wants to know, how do you keep the mustache straight like the Iron Sheik?
It's in the genes, man. They gave me 2 months to grow it, and I showed up at wardrobe, and they were like, "Oh," and they held out this fake mustache, and they're like, "We don't need this." I was like, "Get that out of my face!" Here, number one, A to the Z, the legend, the real Baba. A little mustache wax on the tips there. Good to go.
Now, do you know much about the Sheik's reputation outside of the ring? I guess he's calmed down in recent years, but he was a bit of a wild man.
I've done all the character research possible, and I know most of all the stories. But what's great to me is the fact that I got to be the Sheik on the show, and the Sheik is still alive, and he's able to see it. And he called me last week. He and I have been able to talk in Zoom, and he called me last week, and he told me he was proud of me, and I'm doing a great job, and I look great. So to have that meant more to me than anything. His daughter Nicole and his wife Carol contacted me, and they pretty much like adopted me into their whole family, like a son, like a Sheiky Jr. So that's truly special to me. It humbled me, Baba. Very humble.
What do you think about Brian Blair? Those two have had their
Brian
issues.
Blair is the bloody punk. I'll suplex him. I'll put him in camel clutch. I'll break his back. Punk.
Would you ever consider getting in there into the professional wrestling leagues? I know it doesn't pay quite as well as acting, and you're treated a lot worse than you are in acting. But
I would absolutely love to, expand my career into that. I mean, I'm a fit guy, and when we got brought over to Australia. The first week we were out, we had to quarantine for 2 weeks in the hotel. And our first day out, we got sent right to wrestling training. And they brought over Chavo Guerrero, and he was our coach. None of the wrestlers, none of the actors who played wrestlers had stuntmen. So we learned wrestling 101, and we did all our own stunts. We did all our own wrestling. And for me, that was amazing, because I always want to do everything involved in the role. I want to immerse myself in the character. I want the dynamicness of that character. The eccentricness of the Sheik was so fun to play. The guy is a legend, a true legend. And I mean, I hated him when I was younger, but now doing the character research and learning about the whole gimmick thing, he was the best actor, one of the best actors the WWE ever had. His improv skills were on point. All his promos off the cuff like that, you respect that. Respect the legend, Baba.
As far as the wrestling training with Chavo Guerrero, how extensive was it?
Well, we started with the basics. The first thing we did was we just bounced off the ropes back and forth. And even something that simple, if you hit the ropes on the wrong spot in your back, you were walking around with a bruise all across your back for the rest of the week. So it's amazing to me how athletic these guys are. And then also day one, so we're bouncing off the ropes, getting used to that whole feeling. He made sure it's, you always grab with the left. You always grab with the left. Everything's done with a certain arm. But he was like, all right, now we're going to learn to take a fall. And he had us do a somersault. He had everyone just line up and do a somersault. I did my somersault. I stand up. I black out. I fell down. He's like, all right, try again. I did a somersault. I stand up. I black out. I fell down. Everyone started making fun of Sheiky, who can bench 500 pounds and squat 400 pounds, but he can't do a somersault. Big, tough guy, Sheik. I mean, eventually I got used to it. And when's the last time you did a somersault? Like third grade? But, yeah. And so from there, we went on to all the correct grappling, the chokeholds, the arm bars, the submission moves, jumping out of the ring, falling out of the ring, jumping into the ring, top rope jumps. Chavo, for those who wanted to do more, he taught us more to an extent where it was still safe. We were hitting each other with chairs. it was an amazing experience and something. Yeah, if there's an opportunity to do that professionally in WWE, I would be all for it. I'd come back as kind of a Sheik character. I couldn't be the Iron Sheik, but Azar Sheik or something like that would be a dream.
Jack wants to know if you did your character research and smoked the pipe like the Sheik did.
Everything in moderation, Baba. No, I am. I don't drink and I don't do illegal drugs, so I did not.
He didn't either at first. Maybe as you get older, you'll switch like him.
This is true, Baba. This is true. But no, I did not have any. No cold beer. No Sheiky medicine for my character research.
Yeah, he apparently was very straight laced when he started wrestling, and he did actually look like you. He was lean. He didn't have the belly. So very good casting that they did finding you for this. There's a fan on here that maybe as an outsider to wrestling's kind of on a bit of a down period these days. What do you think wrestling could do to like make wrestling more popular again, as someone who's an actor and you're kind of not biased or anything because you're not in the wrestling business?
Yeah. Man, I was a huge fan of wrestling back in the 90s when it was like NWO and the Divas were like wearing thongs in the ring, and NWO, the plot lines were a lot better than they are now. Everything was, a lot less politically correct. And that's when it was good. I think now it's tough, especially with COVID, that there's not like actual fans in the place, that it kind of looks kind of weird watching wrestling now. But I don't know. I just think, guys, there needs to be some better plot lines, and it needs to be more R-rated, I think, personally.
Now, you also worked on some of the more recent Terminator films. You were a body double, I guess, of Arnold. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so for Terminator Genesis 6 years ago and Terminator Dark Fate 2 years ago, when they wanted young Arnold, they brought me in to be the 30-year-old Arnold's body, and they computer animated my head to be his head. So in that big scene in Genesis where you got young Arnold walks up to the three punks, your clothes, give them to me now. And then old Arnold shows up behind me, you won't be needing those. And then there's that huge fight between old Arnold and young Arnold. I'm young Arnold. So Arnold and I had a good 3 months together filming that movie. And yeah, I was the naked Terminator. And then in Genesis, that opening scene, spoiler alert, that opening scene when young Arnold walks up on the beach with Linda and John Connor, and Arnold kills John, that was me. If you match the bicep vein to that scene, you'll see it's me.
So you actually got to hang around Arnold, which I'm sure you probably would have done for no pay, but what was that like?
No, I didn't get to just hang around with him. I was literally hanging around with him. My wardrobe for Terminator Genesis was a sock. So Arnold and I got really close really quick, because that whole fight scene, I'm just swinging away, basically, filming that. And now it's an ongoing joke. Once you work professionally with Arnold, and he sees that you're, doing it right, he respects you as an actor, he kind of brings you into his circuit. So he's invited me out to California a few times to do some events with him and to parties and whatnot. He's a legend in himself. But that whole fight scene, I was naked fighting Arnold, so it was so awkward, and I'll never be embarrassed like that ever. After I've been through that, nothing is embarrassing. But now if I see him, he goes, "I don't recognize you. you're wearing too much clothing. Because I was naked the entire time when I was with him. And he would, but he was cool. We were at his trailer and he would come out. There was a bunch of us out there. Joe Manganiello was hanging out one night. He comes out, he's like, oh, a bunch of studs out here. It's like Stud Union. Let me get something for Stud Union. And he goes into his trailer, he brings out cigars. We start smoking cigars. He tells stories. And I was telling this story to a group of other people where Arnold said, yeah, it's Stud Union. Arnold walks up behind me. All the guys' faces go white. I'm like, and I'm impersonating Arnold, behind his back. And he's like, no, keep going. You're doing fine. So I got the Arnold approval to do the Arnold voice. Now I have the Sheik's approval to do the Sheik voice. Between the two of them, you kill me now. I'm done. I could die a happy man.
How many days did it take you to start to get comfortable with that, being on set with, I can only imagine how many people are there with you wearing a sock.
All right, so here's the funny thing, is every day we were filming that, more and more people were suddenly off camera. And the director walks up to me and he goes, Brett, our wives never come to filming. They hate being here on set. And all of a sudden, they're all here every day you're filming. So it is what it is.
Did Arnold give you any bodybuilding advice?
He would ask what I was doing for training. We didn't get to train together when we were filming. I trained later with him at Gold's Venice afterwards, but he loves to talk lifting. I mean, when you start talking about what you're doing, sets and reps and what exercises, he's 100% interested. So it's cool to talk shop with him like that. But it was I remember he was in the hotel at one point and they were like, we lost Arnold. He was supposed to be locked in his room for something. And everyone's like, we lost Arnold, we can't find him. And he was in the gym. And that's like, even at 70 years old, like when he's sneaking away to be in the gym. I love that.
And is it true that he actually trains every day at Gold's Venice, just like a normal person?
Oh yeah, he'll go in the morning, get his lift in, and start his day. It's known there. He's there at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning, every day.
Someone is asking if you think you'd play the Iron Sheik in that Hulk Hogan movie that is rumored to be being made for Netflix.
The Chris Hemsworth one?
Yeah.
They are already filming that in Australia. They were filming that in Australia when we were filming.
Okay.
Part of that, of course, but
they missed the boat on that one.
Yeah.
Someone's asking if you played any sports when you were in Rhode Island.
Yes, in Rhode Island, I was captain of the football team at Barrington High School, and I was the ace on the baseball team. Little lanky pitcher. We won state championship my sophomore year of baseball. We won state champ my senior year in football. Senior or junior? I don't know. Small town, small state. So I don't know if it says much to be state champs, but I was a pretty good athlete. But my in high school, I always wanted to be acting, and I never had time to because I was always on a sports team. I did the competitive chorus, and all my friends on the choral ensemble were the actors and theater geeks, and I loved that world maybe even more so than the athlete world. So when I got to college, I jumped right into theater, and I was still a gym rat. It's still a passion to always work out. So I started bodybuilding and doing theater in college and competing in bodybuilding, just like, Arnold.
How long did it take to grow the mustache? Derek Miller wants to know.
Let's see. I had a 5 o'clock shadow in July when they booked me for the show, and we started filming in September, and it was good to go. So there you go.
Who does the camel clutch better, you or the Iron Sheik? Ronald wants to know. And did the Iron Sheik himself give you any tips on how to apply that? Because I've never seen Chavo Guerrero do a camel clutch in his career.
Iron Sheik #1. Respect the legend, Baba. No one greater than Iron Sheik. The difference in my camel clutch, there is a difference. If you watch, the Sheik will do the clutch like this. And Chavo didn't allow me to do this because he said that that would put your fingers in harm's way. You could break a finger or something. So my clutch, I did like that. And in the acting world, you don't want to hurt your other actors. So you don't give them the sharp edge of your wrist. You always flatten out. And you're never going to like really pull on their neck. But the Sheik's camel clutch is number 1. Camel clutch, #1. Iron Sheik. No jabroni here. I know to respect the legend.
Do you have a favorite episode that you were in?
Yeah, the last episode 3 was definitely one of my favorites. For the Sheik character, where Andre is showing off his little toy, his action figure, and the Sheik looks at it and he points to the action figure's dick. He's correct down there. What? You want your jabroni kids to pull down pants and see sex? Ugh. And then when he's getting interviewed by Mama Leah, The Rock's grandmother, they're having a family function, and the Sheik needs a list of words about what he's not allowed to say. Because the Sheik, he dropped the F-bomb, but NBC Sheik is not allowed to say "fucking." So there's no "fucking." It's only make you humble. But that whole list, no shit, no fuck, no Jew. Okay, boss. You got to keep the Sheik, keep a collar on him in a family function.
Danny wants to know if you could tell us some of your favorite supplements to take, obviously, as a muscle guy.
Every day. That's an easy one. I am a big whey protein fan. I wake up, it's the first thing I eat. It's the first thing I have after I work out, and it's the last thing I have before bed. That vitamin D. If you guys don't take vitamin D, start doing it, because that's one of the things that is the best vitamin for you. And take way more than what it says on the bottle. That's bullshit.
All right, there's some advice. Don't follow the bottle instructions.
Yeah, vitamin D. Vitamin D is one of the best things that you can take.
I've heard that too. Even for COVID, it's one of the best supplements to prevent COVID.
There you go, Baba.
Sophie says she's really enjoyed watching the show weekly. How are you liking the experience playing the Iron Sheik? It seems like you're liking it.
It's unreal. It's unreal. The fact that, when we were filming, it was amazing and fun. But now the reception we're getting from the nation, we hit #1 on Thursday. Like, we're setting records to be a part of that with The Rock, with my other castmates. Unreal. And then for the Sheik and his family to call me and say we're doing good and say that they're loving what they're seeing and saying they're proud of me. #1. Yes, Baba.
Yeah, and he's not the type that's going to blow smoke up your ass if he didn't like how you were playing.
He's the real Baba. He's the real from A to the Z. No jabroni.
I think there needs to be an interview of you interviewing the Iron Sheik about his career on this channel. In that aspect.
I'm all for that.
Now, 100%. You've also you've been in Ninja Turtles in small roles. You've been on Gotham, Girl Boxer, Night Sweats. You've done a lot. What are some of the other highlights of your acting career? I know you're still young in the game, but just for fans that are new to you.
I had a moment. I did an episode of Blacklist, and I was playing a guard. And I had a scene with James Spader, and he walks up to me, and he says, in the episode, he's like, "Is it true that steroids shrink your dick?" And I wasn't supposed to say anything in the script. And I look at him and I'm like, "You want to check?" And he starts cracking up. And he's like, "All right, we're not using that." But from then on, he was nonstop just joking around with me. And it's true what they say about guys with a thick neck having a small brain. And it was a special. That was a special moment. James Spader, I respect as an actor, big time. So for me, that was a big one. I had a cool moment where in Jessica Jones, did an episode of that, and I got to fight Luke Cage in that. And I grew up a comic fan, so I'm a big Marvel fan. So fighting Luke Cage was kind of cool, just to say I fought Luke Cage and survived. What else? I did randomly. I got on Worst Cooks in America as a contestant, and I became a fan favorite. I was a semifinalist to win $25,000 because me cooking, I microwave my food. I keep it simple. I have Icon Meals, that same protein company sends me. I order from them all my food, so I get steak and salmon. And I just microwave it. I microwave vegetables, and that's my diet. So they brought me on the show because I can't cook. So that was cool. And then they brought me back for a Halloween special, and I won. Not too shabby. Not an acting gig, but it was just real me, real Brett, trying to cook, doing okay.
You've got a fan on here, Bryce Boudreau, who's a ring announcer in wrestling. He says he's a huge fan. He's been watching Young Rock religiously. There's not a single person out there that could have portrayed the Iron Sheik better than you. Is there any way you can reenact some of the Sheik's shoot interview quotes?
Mr. Bob Backlund, 6-time champion, Mr. Bob Backlund, the legend. I go to Madison Square Garden, #1 arena, Madison Square Garden. I beat you. I become WWF champion, #1, AAU champion, Iran champion, Olympic champion. I come, I show you, I make you respect my talent, and you and I will become friends because you respect me. You respect my talent, Mr. Bob Backlund. I will be WWF champion. Look at me, cameraman. Look at me. Come. Look at me. Come. Yes.
That's pretty good. Of course, Bob Backlund's another unique character in the wrestling business.
Another legend in his own right. I think I'm going to actually meet him soon.
Yeah, he's another one that's very similar to his Mr. Backlund personality. You get the vibe from him that he could explode every time.
Yeah. Yep.
I get excited. I
gotta wear something so I can throw it off.
Bryce loved your impression. So does Derek. So does Big.
American boys.
Someone's asking if you're from
intelligent American boys, intelligent American girls. You respect me. I thank you. I love you.
RVX wants to know if you're from Iranian descent.
Unfortunately, no. I am Lebanese. So I still appreciate lamb and baklava, but I am Lebanese and not Iran. But I'm close. I'm in the family there.
Someone's pointing out, I guess the guy that played Alpha was one of the Power Rangers.
Yep. John Toohey.
Any trap training advice? I noticed you got your traps popping real nice there.
Persian Club, Baba. Persian Club.
No, I love to do a shoulder circuit where it's dumbbell lateral raises and shrugs. So I'll do lateral raises with like 65-pound dumbbells set it down to 35-pound dumbbells, go to failure, and then I'll shrug 400 or 500 pounds until failure, and I'll just repeat that over and over again, and my traps will just blow up. Yes, papa.
What do you think about some of the wrestlers turned actors? Obviously, The Rock is by far the most successful. No one can touch him. But what about Batista and John Cena, who are both having a lot of success lately?
I love them. I'm all for it. They, as an actor, you're always told, well, I was always told you're too big for the screen. And to see the success that The Rock has, he's bigger than I am. To see the success that Batista has, John Cena, Triple H when he was doing his little stint, that gives me hope, that I can have my lead roles in movies. I love to see when they do movies. And you got to realize that those wrestlers, they're acting full time. Like, not only are they acting when they're putting on the show, but for those other guys that need to stay in gimmick and stuff, I don't know if it's so much now than it was back in the 80s and 90s where they were full time, they were in gimmick no matter where they were. That's all acting. So it's a full time commitment, and as an actor, I really respect that.
Someone wants to know, what's the frequency of your workouts, days off, and how much protein do you consume during a day?
I take days off when I need them. I don't really schedule them. I'm a big fan of, The Rock's epic cheat meals. I do the same thing where I'll take a whole day or the last meal of one day and just blow it out and eat my typical cheat meal is I'll start with a healthy meal, and then I'll have probably 2 pounds of fruit, and then 2 pizzas, a sleeve of cookies, a bag of chips, a full quart of ice cream, and then I pass out. And I'll do that once a week. But protein-wise, daily, 50. I'll eat about 50 grams of protein every 3 hours. So I'm probably around 400 grams daily.
And Mop Up is wondering your height and weight. Sorry.
6'2", 240, Baba. Right now, 245. For filming, I dropped weight because I got shredded. And I was like 230, 225. But I normally walk around 240, 245.
Excellent. And where can the fans follow you if they want to look you up on social media and keep track of everything you're up to?
Instagram, Baba. Brett Azar. BRETTAZAR. If you guys want a shirt, there's a link on my Instagram to order a shirt, and I can autograph it for you. Also, send me a DM, and I can set you up with like a Venmo or PayPal if you actually want to buy a shirt. But yeah, my Instagram is my main account. I do have Facebook, but that's more for family, I guess. You can try to add me on Facebook too if you want, but I'm more about Instagram.
Now, people always like it when I ask about the groupies in wrestling to the wrestlers. How are the groupies in acting?
No groupies, Baba. Sheik, only one woman. I'm engaged to lovely Linda Simone. We moved to new house on Friday. We got engaged on Valentine's Day. She love of my life, number one. No groupies.
Big 21 wants to know, how much can you bench press?
My best was when I was filming Terminator. I got called out by someone and said I can't be Arnold if I don't bench at least 500. And I benched 515 on tape back in 2016. Right now, I probably could push like 450 for a rep.
Do you know superstar Billy Graham at all?
Billy Gunn? Or Billy Graham?
Billy Graham. He was friends with He's a wrestler, former world champion, that he actually used to train with Arnold, but that was back in the 70s, so a little bit before Iron Sheik made it big.
I don't know him personally. I know Bill Grant personally.
Okay.
He also trained with Arnold back in the 70s.
James says he loves you and as the Iron Sheik, and he says the young
Thank you,
Rock
brother.
is really cool. And Derek says congrats to you on getting the role. Well, I thank you very much for talking to us. You've been very entertaining. Could you give us a Sheik promo to throw us out of here?
Yes, brother. Thank you very much. I love you. You jabronis who don't like me, I'll suplex you. I'll put you in camel clutch. I'll break your back. I'll make you humble. Everyone else, you my baba. Thank you. I love you.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please